All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is the September 25th, 2025 meeting of the Wareham Board of Sewer Commissioners. The time is 1 p.m. We're at Wareham Town Hall, room 27, and we're being broadcast live on Comcast Channel 26 and Verizon Channel 29. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And may I have a roll call, please?
Carrie Pastor.
Bob Scanlon.
Scott Sobey.
Sandy Slavin.
We have a quorum. First up is the acceptance of meeting minutes for August 28th, 2025.
I have read the minutes and find them to be complete and accurate, and make a motion. We accept the minutes of August 28, 25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The September 11th minutes, are we still waiting for those?
Yes. I have not seen them.
Okay, all right. So moving on then. We have a contract with Riley Electrical Contractors. And Riley Electrical Contractors shall furnish all the materials and services for service work performed for the town of Wareham Water Pollution Control Facility.
Is there a limit? I see an hourly rate, but I don't, is there a maximum?
I believe it's 50,000.
Is that what we spent in the past years, this brand new one?
That's a new contract, so.
Is that in the document?
It does not seem to be in the document.
No.
Are they the new provider versus somebody else in the prior year, Scott?
It's kind of an addition to,
Okay.
so everyone's so busy now, they're just trying to get things done. Electrician.
We had a contract for multi-state electric that I don't find it being renewed.
Right.
So this would be the only electrical contractor we have?
Specific electrical, yes. So the multi-state did more line side work, bigger stuff where these guys can do controls work, which is what we need more frequently.
So is a multi-state still valid?
I believe it is, I'd have to look.
Okay, because as I said, I couldn't find where it was approved or extended past 2024. I'm reluctant to sign this without a cap of the 50,000 being included in the contract. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, the only reason it can not go beyond 50,000 because it wasn't a bid document. It didn't go out to bid. So anything that goes over 50,000 would have to go to a full bid process. And this was, we got quotes for hourly rates.
So there is no,
The cap is 50,000. It cannot go over 50,000.
but that cap is within the town of Wareham accounting department.
Oh, well, yes, in our internal.
Well, inside us,
Yes.
not with the contract.
I believe that's part of the procurement laws in Massachusetts, all right?
Right, we specifically cannot go over 50,000.
But is there a contract number for them? I don't see a CR 25 on it.
There wouldn't be until you approve it.
Until we approve it, exactly.
So under goods and services, it also doesn't specify anything in particular. This is just general work that needs to be done, outlets that need to be replaced, or
Not really like I can do outlets and stuff like that. This is more control panel stuff and getting into the more intrinsic controls that I struggle with.
Is this an as needed type?
Yes.
is it standard to have something as nebulous as this, just kind of as needed?
Yeah, because if we make it too precise, then something comes up, we can't use it.
You have to come back with something else.
Yeah. So but we have to leave things a little bit nebulous, as you said.
Okay, move to approve contract between the town of Wareham and Riley Electrical Contractors.
Second the motion.
Second for discussion, should we put on the term date of 8/31/26? Or is that not
It
needed?
automatically does that,
Okay.
so once July 1st hits, we can have to renew it.
Then, okay,
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on, I think we'll jump to the sewer billing insert, which is included in the packet. I was not at the last meeting and didn't hear the discussion on it, but if anyone has anything to say,
is there a chance we could have had this ahead of time? Normally, the packet is sent to us electronically. And if I didn't know, I did not go to the plant to pick it up, so this is the first time I've seen it, so I'm reluctant to approve it without having a few minutes to read it.
This is the old one though, right?
Is this the same as the blue one, right? The blue sheet we had? Yes.
Looks like the same as the blue one.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Important notice, grinder pumps, projected maintenance schedule. I mean, I don't see fog listed, I don't see hours listed. It's not the same. But I'm very reluctant to approve it.
Yeah.
Until I've had a chance to review it. As a sewer user, what would I do if I receive this? But my question has to be asked if, when is the deadline for getting this in, when is the deadline for getting this so it can be inserted in the next sewer bill?
It's gonna be 5 months before the next sewer bill comes out, approximately. So Scott, did you go over this? Is that what
To my knowledge, nothing's been changed. I think it's missing a section. I think there was 2 sides maybe.
Nope,
all right, so I think.
That wasn't involved in anything to change this.
All right, so I think what we
so
should do,
I don't know who did it, any idea, Bob?
I don't have any idea, no.
I think what we should
I
do
took it as the blue sheet.
Scott?
is table this until the next meeting. That'll
Exactly.
give everyone a chance to go over it, including Scott. Make whatever changes. We talked about doing things like including new things that are happening at the plant. This is supposed to be kind of a newsletter to the people who get their bills. And we talked about writing things in here like an update, a brief update on the upgrades to the sewer plant, on the experiment with the sludge. I don't know, Scott,
None of that's covered.
I know, but we talked about doing.
How did this get written is what I'm saying.
We don't know who, I don't know who wrote it, does anybody?
Isn't it? Well, on the blue sheet, it was determined at the last meeting that it was automatically generated from prior years.
Right.
So if this is not the same, someone edited or wordsmithed it or whatever you wanna call it, and how did it get generated? Is my question. But we should table it until we find out.
Exactly,
That's all I'm saying.
okay.
Cause I can look, here's the blue one,
I don't,
and I can look at the white one, and they're not the same.
all right, then,
But this isn't what we wanted to do anyway.
no, it isn't.
Who's the chairperson for you?
Yes,
If I may be from the peanut gallery, just for when you're thinking of the future, you will be limited on what you can actually put in with the bill. It can't be a large packet.
Mhm.
You're looking about the size of paper that you can do, so. You know, maybe something with the QR code could be where people could scan that and bring them to informational or something, just if you really wanna get that much out
Yeah,
there.
we put on at the wareham.gov, Wareham website.
Yeah, so.
Over here. It needs to have the website, an accurate website, and it needs to have an accurate phone number. And those are the two most important things,
An
but
email.
in an email, but everything else we can, I don't know if we talked about not having grinder pump information on here, we talked about a bunch of different things that could be put in here, replacing what we have, and we also could use double-sided, so.
We also talked about what to do on the back of the bill.
Correct.
because the critical component being the abatements, that information went back with the payment slips, so they didn't have it as history in there. So we talked, okay.
Okay, so
We're
we'll
gonna
table that.
table this.
Table it.
So you want a motion to table as well?
I don't think we need
I
one.
don't think we need,
Okay.
yeah.
Everyone agrees.
Yes.
Let's see, we will skip ahead to I think rules and regulations, which is being worked on. I think we'll table that for now.
What happened to getting us the copy of the policies?
I don't know.
Yeah, we asked for those.
Wait, yeah. A month ago. We don't have policies.
Okay, weren't you in charge of that?
No, nice try.
Well, you're in charge of it now.
Yeah, there might be a
Make the
motion.
motion to put
No, 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 no,
in
no.
charge of policies.
No,
No, Scott was gonna look
Maybe
around,
that'll be a good place.
Scott was gonna do a search for electronic
And all I
versions,
found was that.
which is,
I have a package, those policies, I read,
Yeah.
for the last meeting, I read them and gave you an update, which started an open discussion about.
you have a package of policies,
That
but
have
you
been
have the
writ-
policies?
Been written over the year, well, it's called policies, and when you read it, it's, the more you read, the more confused you get about who does what, it's an
But
epic.
apparently, they are what we
Cost of-
have.
Huh?
They are what we have.
Unless there's more of them, I was just giving it, Jim gave it to me.
Jim gave you something.
Yes, they found them in the archives, so to speak.
Division 5, rules and regulations. Is this our bylaw?
so there should be 3 governing documents. One is the town charter, which gives duties and responsibilities. There should be bylaws, and there should be rules and regulations. So the rules and regulations don't need to be changed. I'm just saying out loud what my understanding is, so please correct me if this is not correct. The town charter and the bylaws would have to be, any changes would have to be approved by town meeting.
Correct.
The rules and regulations, which are to expand on the bylaws, don't have to be approved by the town meeting.
Correct.
But that's where the specifics should be for engineering firms, for whoever needs to interact with the sewer system. Is that correct? Okay, so it's not clear what the Division 5, is that bylaws? Because bylaws are divided by divisions.
It should be your bylaws, and not yours, the town's bylaws.
Yeah, so it says rules and regulations, but we need to clarify whether this is the rules and regulations or if this is the bylaws.
It would have said bylaw.
It looks like that's an excerpt, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of
Yes.
turn, but we're,
No,
Please.
if you tell me to go,
No, we
How
need all the
sad.
assistance.
I don't think that's the bylaw.
it should be based off of Division 5 article, because why would it start on Division 5? So I'm gonna pull,
You want me to go, or you're looking? You're in.
So again, I went through some of, I believe, the bylaws, or whatever that is, with Miss Moran to fix some of the verbiage, to make it reasonable. And I don't believe that's the updated version.
That would be the bylaw coming for town meeting, or eventually?
Eventually, I think, because she went through a lot of them.
Because that is the bylaw review committee,
Okay, I
correct?
think so. I met with her, like I said, last year. It's been quite a while.
So we're gonna table the rules and regulations. Someone has to find a copy of the policies.
But wouldn't the rules and regulations be the same as the policies?
That would be my understanding, but I don't, I mean,
No.
That's why she
I can't
is.
imagine I have a policy that may conflict with rules and regulations.
That's our problem.
No, actually, man, I have what Jim gave me. The problem is you don't know if it encompasses everything that the rules and regulations cover.
You have it, we don't.
That's
So-
irrelevant. We had it last week. We discussed it. We were gonna wait till,
Okay, in the towns, I'm sorry to interrupt.
oh, go ahead.
Town's general bylaws, Division 5, rules and regulations relating to use of public and private sewers and drains, etc. So that matches up to,
So it is a bylaw.
it is within the bylaws. Now, Division 1 is definitions, Article 1 is definitions, Article 2, so that's within there. But you guys can make your own regulations sort of beyond these. There's certain ones, certain policies and things like that that you can do, as we spoke with town council about. So there's
This
a
is
couple different ways. Some for you to be able to have more teeth. You wanna have them sort of as the bylaws, cause then you have maybe some defining capabilities, things like that. So I think one of yours, and try to figure out is, what does this encompass for what you're trying to do today, right? What else do you need to do and how you want it put together.
It's confusing because it's labeled rules and regulations, which are separate, different from the bylaws.
Right.
I have right here what was given to me and and I brought this up in the last Sewer Commission's law amendment document. And you don't know what encompasses everything in the bylaws, or it goes back to 2013. There are changes that were made here. So how this is encompassed into this right here, I don't know how it works. You follow me?
And you may, this is gonna sound awkward, but we have other boards and committees do this. We may need, you almost want somebody coming in outside to codify all these, get it into one spot for you. Because I'm gonna tell you, as smart as all of you are, you're going to go insane trying to do it yourselves.
Yes.
So, and staff, as mean as I am, I don't wish that upon the staff to do on top of their day jobs. So,
Like I said, I did read through all that because Miss Moran asked me to. And there was some just edits made that just to clarify a lot of things that were written awkwardly. It's easy to do.
So it was more of a grammar check.
Just
A lot of
so
it in definitions where it's like, the definition of pH.
this is what came out of the archives.
It's the electric, and it's like, no one's gonna understand that besides two of us.
It says policies adopted by the BOS or BOSC.
Board of Selectmen, they
Right.
were the
They were
sewer
both.
commissioners.
Slash boards.
And it has the subject matter with the original adoption date and then a replacement date. And there's some in here that have been adopted in 1999 with no replacement date, so I figure they're still in effect, but they're not in this package. So what I'm saying is, what I said last week is, I can't find all these things.
you can't find the actual.
Yeah,
nor
there's-
will
there-
you.
There's somebody made a nice copy of what they could find. I mean, I see someone say, for your information only, written on these things, but there's a whole spreadsheet of,
Would it be worthwhile to go to the Board of Selectmen to see what they have, the select board, and see what they have for the documents when they passed it over to us?
well, we could do that. I think the first thing is to ask Jim where he got these first. Go back to that starting point. This is amazing. There's 25 different, 26, including fees
What
of
I will-
policies in here.
What I'd also suggest is, if you're okay with it, if you could make a copy. We have a couple hound dogs, if you will, people that are sort of do research that we could pull out of there.
Yep.
Patty's gonna love me volunteering this, but that's, but I'm gonna blame you, so she can yell at you.
We've got to get a handle on this, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
See how they're numbered?
Mhm.
And then in here, it'll say number 2, number 3, number 4, skip to number 18. So where's the rest of the information? I have no idea.
Yeah, cause it's, the sewer commissioners have existed for, separate from the select board for a while now,
Since 2015, yeah.
so we're talking a decade.
Yes, and we haven't done our job. Yes, I
No,
can say it.
we've done
We
certain-
haven't,
certain things.
yeah, raised the fee. Okay. So what's the action item? We're gonna table rules and regulations and we're gonna table it. What's the next action item?
Well, but let's do something about it, though. I wanna take a crack at it, I mean, at the bylaws, and I don't have the depth of knowledge, but I am starting to have some understanding of how it relates to the town charter, for example, and some of this maybe need to be pulled out and put in rules and regulations rather than the bylaws. I don't know, let me, I'd like to have a look at this. Is that,
So we'll have to make a copy of,
We did have a full meeting where we had Rich in here and went through some of these things. Do you guys remember
we
that?
did,
Right?
yeah,
I was-
that
I
was
was
a
in
couple of
that
years
one.
ago, yeah,
Well, I was here for it.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I understand what you're, I think to get to that point, you want to see, you wanna have all the groceries to cook the dinner.
Exactly.
that's right.
Right, so the first part is let's
Dig.
make sure we've got all the ingredients and if they do exist, you know, if it's unicorn horn, obviously, it's not something we can achieve.
Carrie, leave that document out and I'll make copies at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, the first one opens up in
Start making fun of
1999.
Terry Glenn.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Okay, next up, monthly agenda items. Does anyone have any discussion about determining,
well, we
Which
talked
tasks?
about we talked about our list.
Yes, last
And-
week.
Yes,
I was not supposed to be here until I arrived today. So I told Jim a few days ago that I wasn't prepared to put that. I have the list of
Oh.
everything that we wrote down as fast as I could write it down with all the ones that you were ripping off, all right? I have them on paper. I'm gonna put them on a sheet so that we can all review them.
okay,
I do have half of them, minus the ones that you had mentioned in the last meeting. And I told Jim I wasn't prepared if I wasn't gonna be here.
okay, how about we table that until the workshop meeting?
until
I think-
Carrie can put it one list that we can.
Yeah, and I think it's also should be included in that, and I'll handle is the design, my notes say I was gonna design a spreadsheet for the contracts we have with the vendors in town.
You didn't like what I got?
No, I mean, I liked it, but I didn't like it, I wasn't in love with it, so. It's just information, we just asked about the other one, that should be on a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, I guess all right.
Just to bring-
Sorry I wasted my time.
No, stop it, stop it.
I am. I thought I handled the big things.
Just to bring Derek up to speed on this, so we've been dealing with emergencies as they arise or contracts as they arise, and there are a longer term items that we will sometimes address, but then we kind of lose track of them. We go into the next meeting and there's stuff we have to deal with, and we often lose track of the things we had already been discussing. So we're putting together, Carrie's putting together a list of items that need to stay on the agenda as old business or in process or whatever it is, so that we can keep track better of what it is that we've been dealing with.
yeah, then there's why you guys actually sign off on some of the contracts today is because of that. There was a history with this, you know, sewer commissioners at one point of having a discussion at a meeting, everything agreed upon, and then saying, well, we never agreed upon this. So we started having this sewer commissioners actually sign off on the contracts. So when that happened, and it went both ways too. There was cases where there weren't things discussed, so it put everybody, that's why you see that today. So we're all on the same page, and then when I'm signing off on contracts, because you guys technically don't, you just authorize it. By the charter, the only one that can sign is the chief procurement officer, which I'm lucky enough to be in this case. So if you're doing something wrong, I go down, thank you. You know, that's why that's there, because it became more about that than actually getting the projects done. So, and that's why I'd like to all be on the same page.
And I think we want to use it as a score sheet to say, okay, next month or 60 days down the road, we have 2 contracts expiring. Do we have RFPs out in the street for such and such?
And I'll tell you too, there's one of the things we actually lack on doing is tooting our own horn for things we've accomplished. I know that sounds crazy, but
No, I think it's
because
great.
we just, we do our jobs and move forward and move on, just think you're on to the next thing. It's sort of like every time you climb one mountain, Everest is still before you. So it's nice to have that log, 'cause sometimes you look back and see what you've actually accomplished. And, you know, it's nice.
That was part of the newsletter discussion, a couple things that we could tutor on.
Yeah.
Say, here's new employees at the facility, et cetera, here's what we've accomplished, here's what Scott's done with the building.
Yeah.
I bet you 90% of John Q. public doesn't know this building's going up down there,
No.
all right?
Yeah, probably
You
not.
ought to see where their tax revenue is going, correct?
Right. Well, we'll probably see at town meeting, what building is this gas line going to? When was this approved? This was, you know, so, but it's hard. I can tell you, I don't know anything about my own community that I'm living in going on because my brain lives here. Just like all of us, our brain lives with our work and our family, so, you know, it's hard to pay attention to what's going on in your own community.
Okay.
So Carrie, you're gonna give us a list once you put it together?
Yeah, I'll put the spreadsheet together and I'll put the list together. I had a list last week and then we added a whole bunch more. And I will add them to the list and we'll pass them out, discuss them, and prioritize what should be what.
Great.
That make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
And next up is the update on the canal pipeline progress. Jim and I met with Sarah from GHD and discussed the upcoming the to-do list for what needs to be accomplished. And there are engineering studies that need to be made, and we more or less have a path forward on that. So, not that there's any progress, but we're working on, we're looking at it.
Is there money for that engineering study?
I believe we do have the money for it, yeah. And just as an aside, the CWMP environmental notification has been submitted to MEPA. So that is done.
That's done.
Carrie, you're working on the contract list.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna go back, I wanna see where the funding is for that.
We don't even know what the cost would be for an engineering study for running a pipeline out Great Neck to the
There's
canal.
absolutely no funding for an outfall.
Okay, well,
So I don't know where the money is coming from if they're doing work.
I don't, nothing's been done yet. We were just outlining what would need to be
Okay,
done as
just-
far as studies.
And matter of fact, there's nothing in the capital plan to talk about funding an outfall. So it isn't even considered.
Okay,
So if anybody's working on it, I don't know how we're gonna pay for it. Unless I'm misreading the capital plan,
I have it right here.
yeah.
So Sandy, would you say your recommendation would be for the sewer commissioners or Scott to send forth to the capital planning committee an item in the what's the last column, is it
Extraordinary.
extraordinary, which I'm assuming this is. And I'm guessing, what are you pop in there, something from Sarah about 150 million or so?
For the,
Problem,
for the study?
No,
No.
for the outfall
this,
itself.
it's not for the whole project, it's an estimate, so it's on the books that we recognize that is potential expenses, and we have it on the capital plan as a project.
The first rough estimate was $91 million for the outfall out through Great Neck.
It's been 2 weeks, so it's probably up at 150.
So you're at 91 now? Yeah, cause the one, I think they called it 150 for the one out by
Mass Maritime.
Mass Maritime,
Yeah, we-
so.
Going a different route.
Yeah, the CDOMP lists about, I think, 91 million for that. So, but would it be better to ask for funds for the engineering first and then for the project, or just include it all in one?
You're right.
We
So-
are so far out, I think just recognizing it as a total project is where we start right now. We're nowhere near. If I've got anybody engineering activity, I want them focused on narrows. We've got to do our narrows replacement, that's the first priority. The outfall is a wish in the future. We've got to do something before that pipe breaks.
Yeah, that was 24.6 million for the Sandwich Road.
So just, if you don't mind, just to rewind to what your question was. When you're putting that in the capital plan, technically our capital plan is pay as you go. Because we don't have the funding in place for what we use. As we'll talk in the future about free cash, retained earnings, some of the larger ones are borrowing. You know, so yours, what you'd be putting forth on there is, that's the estimated cost of this. My assumption would be 91 million, borrowing, because 91 million is not in any of our couch cushions. So that's really what, when you're putting it on there, that is a notification to the community of what's been thought of and what the potential costs are and should be updated. Even when something's in that capital plan for the current fiscal year, that doesn't mean it's been approved. And we had that problem with the school at one point, thought that suddenly, you know, they had some big ticket items. They thought, oh, well, the capital plan got approved. No, there's two different things. There's the capital plan, and then you separately have to get it approved for a funding mechanism. If it's not capable within your budget or retained earnings, which those we'll go over. Does that make sense?
It does, but can I make a suggestion before we get down that path?
Yeah.
Could we just finish off the rest of the items on this agenda?
Yeah.
Cause the reason I talked to you at my last meeting with Sandy,
Yeah.
all right, at the capital planning meeting, was for you and Judy sent me some information to come to explain to us, you're talking about, it hasn't been approved yet, I get that, but
Yeah.
how do we, as a commission, say, I'd like to request $10 million for this project, how does it work? What are the steps, the processes that take place in order for us to control where we are on the scoreboard as far as getting funded so that we can start a project? I.e., for example, in July, was it July's meeting with the three gentlemen, or June's meeting, that told us about the Narrows situation?
In July.
And $24 million, something to that effect, and I said, okay, fine. I'll say this facetiously, all right, I was getting ready to have my picture taken in the paper that we're gonna break ground with some shovels and start the project. Yet, we don't even know if I'm saying maybe just Carrie Passive doesn't know, is this money available to us so we can move forward?
It is not.
Well, but hold on, okay, thank you. Then how do we make it move forward? If we as a commission have decided we'd like to do this, what needs to be done in order to be approved by the town and or the funding?
Yeah.
So that we can start, Derek, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how the process works. It's like I'm throwing dots at a board, I can't even see the wall,
Yeah.
right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do you want to start that now or
We
later?
might as well, yeah, we're done with the,
Well- So we're going back to the financial update and information.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, because then we have that situation that we talked about, the funding that Scott wants for the belt grind, or the belt pumps.
Well,
That's all part of this process. We don't understand where the money comes from.
that's topic C,
Right, so just-
articles.
Do we wanna just sort of tick off everything else you have on there and then?
Fine by me, yes.
Yeah, cause I'm here no matter what, so whenever you come to me.
You're here till we let you go.
Yeah, exactly, you know. I might have to call in a rescue team, but we'll be okay.
Well,
Chair,
yeah, Carrie, you can open it up because.
well, I just did, but
Okay,
would you like to start with it and tell us how that works?
Yeah, so this is, the first step is you have a project, right? You're going to try, you're basically going to look at the scope of the project, talking to Scott. Is it a $300,000 project? You know, I mean, you're basically, so have different levels. So now you've determined there's this $24 million project that needs to be done. And you say, okay, has there been funding put forward? Is this part of a plan before, you know, that you look, no, there's no funding. Okay, well, we need funding. So what needs to be done is the Board of Sewer Commissioners will request, it's multi-layered. One, you're going to figure out, how the hell are we gonna pay for this? Excuse my language, right?
We figure that out,
Right, so you're gonna say, hey, we wanna do this project. And how do we make this work? So it's kind of all of us working together on it. You're gonna say, hey, do we have the capabilities to pay for this within our budget? No, you do not.
Correct.
So what needs to be done? Your only feasible way of generating revenue, outside of some of the side things from income from investment income or septage, maybe grease or something, is sewer users, right? It's the rates. So you're basically, what would happen is we would work with the finance director or treasurer collector to get an estimate of what's the bonding going to cost. $24 million project, bonds are coming in, let's say at 4%, and it's simple interest in this case, which is literally 24 million times 4% or 0.04. So you're looking at 960,000 or something like that a year. Okay, so that's 960,000. Then the 24 million, so that's a $2 million annual principal payment over the 20 years of the bond. You need 2.96 million, right? And
Well, I get the math, but
Yeah.
in the process, is that we get 20 years? Is that the common denominator to all
that's
this?
usually you can go out to 30, you
Okay.
can go, and remember, we're literally, when we go out, we use a separate bond counsel. We are pitching these out. There's we pay money for these the bond counsels to do all that. We're lumped in with, $250 million bond offerings, things such as that.
Okay.
So now we need to know, $3 million year one. It'll decrease, a little bit every year as your principal and interest will be a little less than, because your principal's been reduced. You've got 9,000 EDUs, probably close to 10,000, right, roughly. So you're literally, the simple math of dividing that 9.6 million by 10,000, or how many EDUs you have, that's what you need to raise rates. Now, if you feel comfortable doing that, right, they're saying this is something we can put on the sewer users, right? That's the ones who are going to pay for this. You're now going to seek an article to go to town meeting to get approved for this.
Okay, where does that begin?
That begins here, and you guys draft an article. We can work with you, for town council, put the specific language. With the finance team, we ask bond counsel to usually put the language in with something that big. So, this isn't you guys just voted today and it's going on tomorrow. So now we've got the language.
I'm going to back you up. It's not on capital plan yet.
Yes, it's the technical, it should be on capital plan. So at some point we put it on capital plan before it goes to town meeting.
Right.
So the town meeting is to approve the bond issue?
It's to approve the authorization to borrow.
Okay.
And it's going to authorize the select board, because they're the ones, even though we're going to get into this, you're an enterprise fund. If you fail tomorrow, the town picks up the bill. So, and the select boards are the ones to authorize to sign that. So, now you go to town meeting. One of two things happens. Either get the authorization or town meeting tells you no way. And we've seen it both ways, right? Grinder pumps issue was told no way, or it was yes and then a no way. So now once that happens, you now have the authorization. And that's where the long-term procurement comes in. You're going to grab somebody like, I shouldn't say grab, you're going to hire somebody like Sarah over at
GHD.
I've got too many acronyms, thank you. GHD, it's going to start getting bonded out. And you're probably looking at what, a 6 to 9 month procedure on that?
At least.
So,
On what now, on what?
not bonding it out, bidding it out, the
Bidding,
whole
okay,
bidding, going
right.
through, awarding. So, you know, these are not fast procedures. It can be, depending on when town meeting is or you're taking your actions, it can be 18 months from when to 24 months when you're putting a shovel in the ground, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, the plan is to go down Sandwich Road,
Yep,
which also takes state permitting then as well.
Yep.
It's gonna go through bridges and it's gonna have to go through conservation, and then there's a lot.
And to be honest with you, we haven't even thought about how to fund it.
Well,
This
but
is-
I understand that, I'm trying to get the process,
Right, so this is, let's
not
say.
a rejection or acceptance, what is the
Yeah,
process?
so this is rainbows and unicorns, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Everything's good, you know, and a lot of times. So to Sandy's point, it's when the outfall was supposed to go out of the Mass Maritime, there was planning, there was grants, it was going out
It's
there.
at least 2 years.
Right, nobody decided to ask MassDOT whether they'd allow it underneath their rail tracks, which was the best one. And when that finally got asked, after it was so far down the line, the answer was a 4-letter word, you know,
No.
essentially on it. You
No,
know?
No.
Yes, correct. So yes, there's obviously gonna be that sort of stuff out there.
So being new to this, with this process, I see two major projects that I'm aware of here on this board. Is the narrow station, as I call it, and the Mass Maritime, the race to the canal. Is the public aware of both of these? I mean, has there been discussion, are people aware of it, or is it just like it's in its this baby stage here and no one really knows about it? I'm asking a question, I don't know.
I would say no, the public awareness would be very low unless they're watching your meetings.
Correct.
Right, every now and then you'll get a Wareham Week article or something out there. You know, you probably some of these, you know, I'm aware of these because there was what was going down Sandwich Road at one time was a much different pipe that if Scott had not come aboard, we would have had some serious issues.
Correct.
The manufacturer actually came who was complaining and, you know, said basically they'd already bought all these supplies, why aren't we going to go forward with this? And when Scott explained the project, they said you wouldn't use our material for this.
Yeah.
They disappeared, which was great.
So to go into I'm not sure this is into the weeds so much as it is maybe talking about the different kind of financing options. So this force main that now goes down Minot Road, which is deteriorating, was given a 0 to 5 year lifetime more than 5 years ago. That's $24.6 million, the first estimate. And the idea is then to move that to Sandwich Road, which is a state highway. That would allow us to pick up a few accounts, is that right? A few people who are not currently on sewer.
Actually, it's more than a few.
Okay,
Under the river, for those that are by the old movie house, I mean, there's a lot of communities, sections we could pick up
We can start looking north of
the river.
okay, the point being that that would add EDUs to the system. Maybe not, it's not gonna pay for the whole project, but it would help. Of course, it's gonna add to the
Well, we only
cost of
need
the.
1,700 new users.
1,700? Okay. On the other hand, as Carrie calls it, the race to the canal, if we go down Great Neck Road, we can pick up a lot of EDUs there as well, right?
Not substantially. Those homes are a distance between them as opposed to something that's clustered on a quarter of acre. Those homes are on an acre to 2 acres apiece, so there's not a lot of structures other than Agawam Beach
Okay.
for individuals, if you
I'm
know.
just trying to get a handle on how many EDUs would be added for each one of those projects. Because I think that would add into, well, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna add to the cost of running the plant, because there's gonna be more material coming in, but it's still probably within the 1.56 million gallons per day. But it adds to the income. Certainly not enough to cover the whole cost of the project, but it helps.
Yeah, and those areas, sometimes the costs of running to them are done by betterment if they've not been bettered, which is, but the betterments are voted at town meeting, and a few years ago, the town meeting voted less of a betterment than the actual cost for a project, which is
Can
really
we hold the
interesting.
old betterment cost that was already voted in?
This is, are you talking about future project or what's?
Yeah, so the betterment, was that specific to a certain project?
It's gonna be specific to the project on that, and you would want that, it's about $18,000, so. So it's, now, if you have a community that's 1 acre lots versus 10,000 square foot lot, guess whose EDU is gonna be a hell of a lot more, I mean, excuse betterment's gonna be a hell of a lot more, so.
Yeah.
But you're correct, you factor in there's going to be some extra revenue coming in through new EDUs. You also need to factor in when are they coming online, et cetera, because you're gonna be until that project's done, we're gonna be doing bans, which are the temporary bonds. So as we're expending funds, unless, some of the SRF funding, but let's not get into that, right?
Right.
It's, unless you've got some other type of funding, you're going to be paying interest, so you gotta make sure you have that ability till everything comes along. So it's fairly simple, but takes some planning, right? Like you said, it's simple math when it comes down to it, but you gotta make sure you're factoring in everything. And the one thing you don't wanna say is, we're gonna pick up 1,700 EDUs and you pick up 1,000. So be conservative on all your estimates, tell your residents, worst case scenario. It really stinks to tell them that, but say, without going overboard. But I'd rather tell somebody it's gonna cost them 25,000, it comes in at 24. If you tell them 25, it comes in at 26, that's a disaster.
The other question I had, sorry Sandy, is can the financing be split? So let's say we have a few million left over from that doesn't get, I forget what it's called. Doesn't get-
Retained earnings.
Retained earnings. Can that be used for this kind of project as well? So then you end up borrowing less money.
Absolutely, yes, you can. And in a lowering rate environment, it might be a better option to you wanna keep some in there as a backup, but in a high rate environment, when we can still borrow pretty low, like our roof came in at the total interest credit of 2.3%. It was actually a 5% bond premium, but they paid us $485,000 for it. They paid above the bond, so it actually reduced our rate. It's just, and that was Fidelity that did it, so you're assuming they know what they're doing. So in that case, we'd rather have, you wanna have money in the bank, cause we're still earning 4% on those, so. But yes, long story short, if you have a surplus of retained earnings, you have $5 million and you've got a $5 million project, maybe you'd use 2 million from retained earnings and borrow for 3 million.
Can I take you back now to the conversation we had at the
Yes.
capital planning meeting, so that these gentlemen here, Sandy was with me at the time, to the three, I'll call them buckets of funds that we have, Scott, that are available to us, not all at once, and some are different to get at than others.
Correct.
And I just look, I don't have my notes from the capital planning meeting, and I was supposed to describe that to this meeting today, but in my haste getting here, I forgot it. Can you walk us through that? We're talking about
Let's start with capital stabilization.
well, no, start with the 500,000 that we needed for, it was the grinder pumps, if my
The
numbers?
belt drive.
The belt drive, right?
Okay, talk about our articles,
No, Sandy, let-
2 articles.
hold on. Let's talk about the 500,000 that we needed for the belt grinders.
Yeah.
And we had 3 options to where those funds could come from. Could you walk this group through that again, Derek?
Yeah. You've got, so when you requested it, you just being, the article came
Right.
forward, it was for retained earnings. So.
Out of retained earnings.
Right, that was what the article came for, said retained earnings or any other, which is perfect. retained earnings are your surplus at the end of a fiscal year. Think of it this way, it's essentially sequestered. Those funds are there, but sequestered until the Division of Local Services certifies that amount. So once July 1 hits, if you can't expend those funds until the Commonwealth says, yes, we agree, you have this amount of money. So usually that happens in October. We know that we've been having some issues with two things. One, the way the books are on closing some of them, and we lost another staff member in the accounting office. So it's pretty much a nightmare scenario that's been for us. I'm not certain those retained earnings are going to be certified in time for October town meeting.
Okay.
So even if you have $7 million in those retained earnings, as I said, they're sequestered. They do not exist for expenditures.
No touch.
Right. The funds are there, they're within the enterprise fund, but you
How much
cannot
is there,
touch
you think, Derek? What was your swag?
I think, I'm just trying to remember where we ended up last year. I should have printed those out.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, but I think you're in the $5-6 million
Yes.
range easily, I'd say. Might come in a little bit higher, some of the stuff, but I'd say you're easily within the $5-6 million.
So they're not available to us, but yet there's now another bucket.
Correct, so within your budget, you have two lines in there, and it's, I'm sort of the same way, that with the,
Capital.
yeah, you have capital, which I believe was 76?
766,446.
That is available to use for capital within your fiscal year. Town meeting's already approved that budget, that capital line's within there.
That's now.
Correct, that's this fiscal year, from July 1 to June 30th, those funds are available. Within your budget, you have another thing called the reserve fund for $300,000. The reserve fund, though, is restricted. What that means is Scott just can't spend against it, you guys can't spend against it. It's the same thing as a reserve fund in the town's budget. You need an action of the finance committee to approve that, because reserve funds are supposed to be for extraordinary and unforeseen. So, hey, we didn't see this coming, or this is a high priority item. We're really worried about this, and we won't have an option to fund it till the April town meeting, but this needs to be done now. So we'd like to hit against this. So the finance committee has to approve it. You, the sewer commissioners, have to approve it. So if the finance committee says yes, you say no, it doesn't happen. Right, so you've got controls over it. Typically, any reserve fund within a community needs a select board option. I think the select board has been has been voting on these. I've never seen an issue on it, so.
For history, July 15th, we had a special meeting to take $300,000 out of our reserve fund to pay for additional expenses. So we acted on that before the end of the fiscal year.
You're talking about fiscal 25?
But I didn't think the reserve fund was limited to a fiscal year like the budget, the capital funds are.
Yeah, the reserve, there's two reserve funds, okay,
Okay.
so just to throw a little more confusion on
No,
there,
no.
so, all right, so that's the reserve fund within your budget. Let's call that the budgetary reserve fund.
Okay,
So we'll give that a name.
And something to think, the town meeting approves the budget. So they have approved the money into the budget reserve account and approved the money into the capital account. So we do not have to go back to town meeting for any projects on those two, because the funding has been approved as part of the budget.
See capital planning.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you know, we used 300,000 of a reserve to take care of those miscellaneous expenses that came up, remember that meeting?
we get with sign off, right?
Yeah, so we signed off on it, and that's a hint as to how it might be used.
Alright, so I would think that we as the commissioners should have a strategic session about how we're going to fund what we need to do in order to get the Narrows project running down the straight and narrow the path. And if we have 5 to 6 million that we can use after it's been approved, stamped by the state, maybe we think about using 3 million of it and take the rest on the debt side with a bond.
Well-
I'm just strategically putting it out there.
'Cause we haven't got an estimate yet from
Well-
the engineer,
We don't have any engineering yet,
We don't have any engineer.
not even for Narrows.
not even for Narrows. We need to have money to have the engineering study done.
So for Narrows, they've done a
Yes.
study and they gave us the estimate.
Yeah,
24.6 million.
Okay.
But is that a detailed? I thought that was kind of a rough estimate.
It's rough, it'll get smaller.
Okay.
It'll get smaller stuff.
The estimate is that it will get smaller. They gave us a very conservative estimate.
now, part of the problem is that we did get approval for the
9 million.
Narrows Force Main replacement for 6 million. And I read you the article at the last meeting.
Right.
That would not allow us to use that money for it to go down Route 6.
We'd have to change the verbiage.
You would
on it.
have to rescind that article and put a new article in for the cost of the Route 6 option.
So you can change wording in articles after, but Sandy's correct. Rescinding the other one is just cleaner, you
Yep.
know?
I get it.
Yeah, so you rescind that, so you have to go to town meeting to rescind that, say, let's get this off our books essentially, this is
Because
gone.
that's identified as approved borrowing, which is in there, which is, if it's, never mind.
Yeah.
But my fear is sitting here in this committee and hearing the report that this thing was destined to demolish itself in 5 years. And here it is, time is running out. If something were to happen to that, we're gonna spend a lot more money to fix it. And we're gonna have everybody in town looking at us, why the hell didn't you straighten this out years ago? Am I correct? I mean, it's a public relations nightmare if it collapses.
No
Yeah.
matter what happens, yes, it's going to be,
So-
if that goes down. So we think it's a high priority one.
For us, and we need to figure out how we as a group, a commission, move forward as a high priority to get this done.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's when you say us, it is me too on
Well,
this,
yeah.
You know, so it's.
Mostly
And
you.
one of us can get terminated here, well, two of us.
Trust me, when we go down, you're
I'm the one
coming
that
with
stopped the
us.
first project that would have
So if
actually.
we start working on this now, we could possibly have it ready for special spring in April.
I did receive from Russ Cleveland he said that you'd suggested at a meeting to give me the heads up. Russ
Yep.
had sent me something on it and he had said they believe it's coming for April town meeting. Now, two things I think, we're gonna start working on the budget all together. It's now almost October. This is when, even though we barely started this budget, it seems like we're now working on the fiscal 27 budget. Couple things we need to do is update the borrowing costs, because for the project, over the big project, $26 million project.
36.
36, excuse me, $36 million. We've had some reductions in principal, right? We've had some principal reductions from SRF funding, which has been excellent. But it sounds like we're at paying 2% interest, not the zero. Is everything, we're trying to hit the zero, but I'm trying to hit the lottery, so I'm assuming we're going to end up with the 2%. That's where we need to hit, because in our projections, we now need to officially know, check what your debt's falling off, right? Your current debts are being paid or falling off.
Right.
See what this is now going to cost going forward, and then see on top of it what this new force, is it force main, Narrows force main project's going to cost. Then you'll wanna figure out, you know, how many users are, if you're picking up any users or something on it. So we're gonna start doing that process now to be ready for the spring town meeting. And technically, you probably would not incur that expense till it gets approved in this April, right? Bond it all out, what do you think, a year for construction on that, or you think 6 months?
FY 27.
You're talking 28. You know, you'll have some of the short-term borrowing, that's when you see, if you see in your budget,
Mm.
you have interest, long-term, short-term. Short-term is two things, one, it is the bands, the bond anticipatory notes, and it's also your, we also pay the, what do you call, bond counsel out of that line as well, so, you know, the cost of issuances.
Where's the
so-
principal listed?
It's a debt principal, you know.
So tactically, does it make sense to put the rescinded article at this, couple that with the new article in the same town meeting?
Yeah, we'd have it at the same town meeting, I think would be, we have to.
Yes.
Essentially on there.
So we have to focus on spring.
And you guys have been, you know, unless you ask a ratepayer, I will tell you, your rates have been decent. They've been pretty low. You've been bringing them up smartly to, you know, catch up with costs and such. Scott has reorganized so that you know, you're not so reliant upon contractors, which contractors can be great, but there's not a cost savings because we have to pay prevailing wage, which takes into consideration a lot of things. So yes, it might be slightly cheaper on some things, but we're paying a hell of a lot more on. So it's 6 1/2 dozen. He at least can control the projects and what's being done with a good staff like he has today, so.
Let me take an action item to give you the history of our recent rate increases. You need to know when was the last time we did it and time before that.
I think giving the public a 10-year, these have been our rates over 10 years or the last 5 years. You guys look at, decide which you feel is more favorable for, you know, that's.
Especially if
See-
you put it in comparison to inflation rate.
It's awful hard to say what is our rate when we really don't know the cost of running the plant.
Well, you do know your rate, you know what you voted,
I
say,
know.
I get what you're saying, but
We know
that's-
our
let's-
budget and
well,
the
yeah,
budget.
let's not go down the,
Okay.
this is what,
Not yet.
you're gonna wanna compare it to what's Bourne paying, I think Bourne's at 1,000 or 1,000 plus, right? What are some of the other communities that are kind of comparable to us? Bourne's a good sized community, they're right by us, they actually send us their,
If so,
yeah,
product.
yeah. They're liquid gold.
Yep.
You know, so what's Marion doing for some of those? They're much smaller scale, so sometimes that can be, but what are some of the surrounding ones? I mean, I'm wondering what Mass Water and Sewer is charging. I'm sure it's an arm and a leg.
Does it matter?
This is what
It's
you're
a
showing your
comparison.
residents. This is part of your sales
For
pitch.
public, yeah, so it's public
The
relations.
public relations side.
As opposed to a practical
Yeah.
fact that we need to run the plant, we need to expand some things and so on.
Yeah, it's something, look, for some people, what you pay for taxes in Wareham is a huge chunk of their livelihood.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
what they see is, this is way too much. When you take us compared to 351 communities, we are on the low end.
We're in the 17% in the bottom, right? Top 17, right?
Yeah, we were number
17.
16 at one point, then if you bring I always bring onset fire into there, cause that's that's the highest rate, that even brings us, but you go up to like 50, 55 or something out of 351 communities, it's not bad. You know, I think, contrary to popular belief, I think you get a lot for this town for what the payments are. But I'm also mindful of, this has never been a wealthy community. You know, and the people here with the costs associated of what's been happening since COVID, it's driving them out of their homes, which is a damn shame for some generational families.
Some parts of this community are extremely wealthy,
Yes,
and some parts of the community are right at this doorstep of homelessness. We have this huge disparity in Wareham, and right at onset, we have the same kind of disparity. So I'm not sure as a town how react to that. I mean, if you have mill rate that applies to everybody the same, whether the assessments can be altered so that the more wealthy properties, I'm not sure we can be more progressive.
If you got a water view, you got a higher valuation.
In a weird way, unless, you know, you're, some people are house poor or something. Your taxes are based on the value of your property. So it's in a weird way one of the fairest. If you're wealthier, you typically have, unless you're, you know, a curmudgeon or something, you typically have
A higher
more
value
expense-
property.
a higher value, ergo you pay more taxes. You use the same or less than somebody that maybe is in a much smaller 800 square foot house. So there is, you know, there is a way for that sort of fashion, but our state aid takes into consideration two things. I'm getting a little off topic,
No,
but
I like it.
I geek out to this stuff, so our state aid takes into consideration two things. Our population's ability to pay and the value of our land. Our population's ability to pay is extremely low. But our land value is high, and that creates what's called EQV, which is equalized valuation, which I do not have the capacity to educate you. No, but essentially, people always say, what about all the summer people? In a weird way, that hurts us, because the values of the property are artificially raised by the summer, so it's kind of interesting on it, so there's a good and a bad. So, and that's the
The other thing we've
long
talked
story
about
short on there.
a little bit, and I hope you don't mind, Bob, if I talk about this a little bit, is that right now, the sewer system is financed by the sewer users.
Yes.
A little bit of income from other places, but it's insignificant, I think these other. But the entire town benefits from the sewering,
Yes.
a reduction of nitrogen and so on. So we've talked a little bit about the idea that maybe the entire town needs to contribute to the sewer system, not just the sewer users themselves, because the benefit is more broadly spread. I'm not sure how politically acceptable that would be to people who are paying for their own septic systems. But
Let me put it this way, it's one theory. So that we all benefit
Yeah.
from it, that the water's cleaner, so, you know, even though I may have a septic here, I'm enjoying because this whole area was sewered, but that septic user will not wanna pay for somebody's property that was bettered. And the reason why that property could build a McMansion was they were sewered. This other property could not because they only have a septic and now they've had to change out their septic. I see both sides of the coin on it, I understand. You will have a tremendous fight. So my recommendation is, once you reach roughly 65 to 70% of the not houses, but voters of this community being on sewer, then visit that. Because if you're doing it where you are now, it is not a practical, it's a political exercise.
At one time, we did a major renovation to the plant. And that was covered by everybody because it was a plant upgrade, correct?
The last one, the one over.
The big one.
I don't know if that, no, that
Was
was,
it was some time ago.
that was the one where Bourne was just finishing up paying it, there's another.
Oh, I'm trying to
It would have
remember.
to be
There
one-
was one time in which the whole town carried the cost of a plant upgrade a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
But since then, all the other costs have been associated to the users.
The first sewering of this community, or the sewering in the 1970s, I believe, had a roughly 95% reimbursement rate from the federal government. And there were some other areas that were supposed to be sewered as part of it, and the people said, no way, I don't wanna pay that, and you know,
Yeah.
if the family still owns that property, they're kicking grandpa
Oh,
in the
yeah.
rear right now, you know. So I don't disagree, but I'm going to tell you, like you said, that's a political exercise, not a practical one.
Can we go back to we submitted 2 articles, one for 500,000 for the belt drive. I did not see it on the warrant. Can you explain why that was pulled?
Yes, cause you
I'm
have,
not, yeah,
yes, so that's where we talked about the capital that you have within your budget. You have the availability to do that one within your budget. The-
so it's
That's
used,
out of the 766 group.
yes,
So it doesn't go to town meeting, it goes just through finance.
Right, correct. So
it's yours to play with right
Yeah.
now, you can go for it.
you can actually
You can
move
start.
that project forward if you guys are okay.
Can I, on that particular one, I know it says belt filter press, but there is a better and cheaper technology. Can we just change the article to dewatering
No
system?
article,
No article, Scott.
Alright,
It's your checkbook.
You're,
You got
you
check?
have
so
700.
if I buy something that's not specifically a belt filter press, as long as it's dewatering equipment, I'm okay.
As long as I change the word on the capital plan,
Can we do that?
you wanna call it dewatering?
Dewatering, yes. Please.
and for your sake, I'd run it before them, before you.
Do you still think about 500,000?
Yes.
Cause right now
They
it
seem to
reads,
ask questions,
it
so-
reads 2 roll-off containers in trailer.
What?
So it reads
That's all
2
you-
roll-off containers in trailer, I'm gonna change it to dewatering system.
No, the roll-offs go underneath the
No, no, no,
dewatering.
no, it was, that was the name on the title of the article on the capital plan. I was gonna change it to belt drive, now I'm gonna change it to dewatering system.
Yeah, but you still need the roll-offs, right?
All part of the
But it would be
dewatering
all
system.
part of the dewatering equipment.
It's,
So,
a lot of times on these descriptions, you try and be a little nebulous on it, and it's not because you're hiding anything, it's for this. You know, let's say I wanna buy Ford pickups, and then suddenly those are all being recalled.
Mhm.
And Chevy's a way better option, you know, it's
That just gives you some flexibility.
you're right, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
when we do a lot of things, for town meeting articles, you'll see purchase and equip, because there's a certain amount of equipment going through there. And every now and again, like we've had police cruisers where we've been able to salvage from one unit to another. But you can't always do that for
Mhm.
whatever, so.
okay, so that explains why that one article did not show up in the warrant.
Yes.
The other article for the 300,000 for the air pump station upgrade made the warrant,
Correct.
but it also says retained earnings.
It says retained earnings or
Or
and
other- or anything
yeah.
else.
So this goes back to our non-budgetary reserve account, so. A few years ago, they voted I think there was, when you did the budget. This has to be, I think it was before, might have been before you. It was before him with that answer. So that year, you actually, when your budget came together, your expenses and your projected revenues, you had about 300,000 something extra. So what happened was they voted to put that into a capital stabilization fund, which, you know, what I'm thinking is if retained earnings aren't going to be certified, maybe for October town meeting, it might be worth putting those funds in there, not in April in the future, maybe you put a couple 100,000, like we put money into OPEB and other stabilization funds, so.
So there's enough money in this capital stabilization fund to take care of the pump stations. And your recommendation is once we have free cash available, put an article in special spring to put money back into the capital stabilization.
Correct. Retained
Did you
earnings.
did you understand that?
No, I probably apologize, I was doing something here.
So the 300,000 for the air pump station upgrade
Right,
says retained earnings or any other funds available.
correct?
We have under capital stabilization, about 400,000 in it.
I thought it was, that's not the budget reserve fund of
No,
300,000?
it's
No,
not the
this is
budget
separate.
reserve
This is the
fund.
fourth one now, so to
No,
speak?
this is you've got your budget, you've got the capital line within your budget.
Right,
You've got the budgetary reserve fund. This is then we've got, I understand why you're saying four, you've got retained earnings,
correct,
which we don't have. Then you have capital stabilization fund.
yep, 766.
No,
No,
Oh.
the capital, within your budget, you've got capital.
Yep.
Call that the budgetary capital.
That's the 766.
And then an outside account that's sitting there just earning interest from a few years ago is a capital stabilization fund. That stays stagnant, crosses over fiscal years. That just exists until you put money into it or take money out. That doesn't close out on any fiscal year.
So
How much money is that right now for?
it's about, with interest, they figured about 400,000. Now,
Okay.
what happens is that if our retained earnings are not available at town meeting,
We can use this.
we can use the capital stabilization. But we should seriously think about in special spring town meeting, when retained earnings are available, to transfer a certain amount of money from retained earnings into this capital stabilization fund to make it available for us next year.
Yeah, I understand, just strategically speaking.
So that's another article we would have to put in saying
For April.
for April, special spring. So
I understand.
that is why you'll only see one article on the warrant.
I think I got it.
Think you got it?
I think I've got it. I do have one more question on the follow-up on the
Not allowed.
dewatering belt or dewatering system. Does that $500,000 include installation, training, that
Some of it. We'll be able to fund it otherwise though.
through the normal budget, operating budget?
But you have 766 to use,
We'll make it work.
because it's not an article. Yep.
Okay. Are we good?
So that takes care of the financial
In the rain though.
we
Did
talked
that
about.
help at all? And I'm sorry, I had to.
Massively,
Massively.
yes.
The two best meetings I've had in the last year and so has been the last capital planning meeting and this one, with respect to understanding how the processes come together.
They had in common with Sandy was there, so. No, but
Thank
on a
you.
serious note,
Thank you,
it's, none of this, like I was saying at the meeting, you don't get voted in and suddenly this all comes into your brain, so. And some of the good things is there's having history from the outside of what we've seen, what we've done. You know, the sewer commissioners themselves are kind of interesting how it came about. And for a while in the beginning, it was tough. I won't, you know, so this has been a good group to work with, so thank you.
Could you make a note to ask Judy to send the link that she sent me about enterprise funds?
Yeah.
To the rest of this commission, so that they'll have an understanding of that?
Did you we're gonna give them the caveat that you're allowed to help you understand, not get too creative of ideas out of it?
Well, trust me, I've already been down that path myself.
So, I'll send that right now. And then, at the risk of extending this, we weren't going to keep that article in the 300,000 initially, cause we thought, I was gonna do it just during, we have the regular town meeting budget, capital plan, which I'm okay doing normally. But when I realized we might be using the the capital stabilization fund, it changes the quantum of vote needed at town meeting from a simple majority to a 2/3. So if anything's a little, you know, if you've got a cranky town meeting, I don't want the rest of the capital, potentially that bridge or something, to go down the ship with this one. I'm sorry, it was just a bit
All
of a
about you,
sea
isn't
lion.
it?
Yeah. So
No, I understand.
I'm gonna say, send that to Judy Lazan right now, right? Won't forget.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Derek?
I'm sure there will be over time, but
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
good for now.
well then let's move on to the,
Gee, you only get 3 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we move on to the director's report.
Finally.
I had a couple more interesting weeks, the plant's still recovering, but it looks to be pretty good today and yesterday.
You know why we were recovering, Derek?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
He's very aware. So again, it's been it's been a long month, but we appear to be on the upswing on that. Construction's moving along very well. Some of the detail work is going into the larger heated garage that's going in. And the guts are going to a clarifier, so we should have some good big working clarifiers by, I'd say, next spring or summer.
Excellent.
I have a question about the recovery. Did the outfall quality change during the period that the bacteria were not drastically changed?
Yes.
Can you talk about the details of that? What changed during that time?
The nitrogen loading was different, was higher than it should be. And because of the cloudiness of the effluent, there was nothing raw going into the river, but some of the disinfection was not up to par either.
And then was that monitored downstream by Board of Health, do you know?
We monitored it and
Were they notified that the quality of the water going out changed? Do you think that would be a good idea to, if we have a failure like this in the future, to notify Board of Health so they can monitor the outfall in the river?
they do monitor spots in the river pretty regularly.
Yeah, I've seen them sampling, but it'd be maybe a good idea to let them know that there are issues. It could affect the shellfish, the shell fisheries and so on, to let them know that there's potential for more pathogens being put into the river.
would that be natural resources? Since they're the ones that determine the closures, not the Board of Health.
The Board of Health does the sampling though, the Health Department does the sampling.
But natural resources closes off the shellfish beds.
Or maybe notify
To the
both.
best of my knowledge, there are no shellfish beds in that river. Historically, there was, but
No, you have all those oyster farms
Yeah.
just outside of Swiss Beach.
yeah.
The division,
they
the division of marine
monitor,
fisheries does the closures, gives us the announcements
Okay,
for
so,
it,
but it comes through,
and it's typically as a result of spillage and things such as that, so, I think Scott's well aware of how to work with I assume, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if we have a failure like that in the future, I think just to protect the public, the appropriate agencies need to be notified.
I'm going to not talk.
Do we have any unanticipated items? I don't see any.
Well, I did have one thing, so, and Scott and I have talked about this before, but I was at the Lopes Playground with some little ones a couple of weeks ago when the diesel generator came on. And the playground was loaded with kids. I'm sure Derek likes to hear the load of kids in the playground, newly dedicated. But there was a lot of diesel fumes and it was really, really loud. We left because of the diesel fumes and the loud noise, and some other people left as well. So I've asked Scott to check into changing the run times for the diesel generator there and any other stations where they might be next to a playground, just for
They're the testing times?
it's, well, it's,
Yeah, the the generators exercise regularly once a week,
Yeah,
so we're just gonna change the
Yeah.
exercise time.
yeah, I call it testing
Earlier in the
time.
morning.
Yeah, but not so early that we're gonna get the calls. It's a
a-
fine line.
It's a tight line because it's, what was it, 10 o'clock?
It
So,
was about 10 o'clock, yeah.
so, I don't know when fallback time is, but it'll go 9 o'clock at that point.
I think
And then-
11
and then
to
if we
7
go-
is the noise violation, so 11 PM to 7 AM,
So
so
we'll probably have to put it at 7:30.
if you're at the playground that time.
Blame it on the school buses.
Well, it should be easier in the wintertime because the days are much shorter, but, because the playground closes at dusk.
Right.
So. The other thing I thought about was that maybe the stack could be made taller, then you're talking about lightning. If the stack is taller, maybe the diesel fumes don't come right down to the playground so easily and it wouldn't be as loud, but I think probably just changing the times would be the easiest solution to that.
It's odd that there hadn't been any issue with it before, but now that people are actually using the playground, I guess
Yeah.
that's
That's nice.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay, well, the next meeting,
Before you close, Scott made reference to this, and I think we're right. We keep losing track of things that we have to do. It never appears on the next agenda. And I asked for it to be put in and they don't get always put on. So what I'm going to do in the minutes, I'm going to list the tasks that we came out of today's meeting with.
yes,
So all of these tasks go on the agenda. Okay, the sewer insert, the sewer bill, the wordings for the sewer bill, rules and regulations, policies, the task list Carrie's gonna do for us, the contract list Carrie's gonna do for us. Scott K will update capital plan for the 991 million outfall and the 24.6 for the narrows. And I'm gonna do an EDU history, including what local areas closed. To me, local charges are for EDUs. I saw that as the deliverables out of today's meeting. Does anybody wanna add anything?
That's a good list. I would prefer this to be on the next agenda.
This is the agenda.
Yeah.
These tasks must be on the agenda.
On old business for the next agenda.
Yeah, and I think we also ought to have the update section of the major projects.
Well, we don't have our
Yes, we do. We just discussed the narrows and where we are, how we're all moving towards those things.
but,
And to
okay,
Mass Maritime.
but I'm talking, okay, so what else is on the,
Getting to-
what else is on the agenda? What's the word?
What do you call it, the force pump, the narrows, I call it the
narrow
narrow,
force main,
force main, and the outfall to the
canal.
The
the
canal.
canal. Don't get monthly tasks mixed up with strategic planning. They're two separate items, but they should be talked about on a monthly basis.
Okay, so whoever puts the agenda together, that's your list.
I don't, who puts it together? Anita,
Usually Jimmy.
Jimmy does, or
The chair normally does. As I said, every time I see it, you didn't
All right.
include this, you didn't include that, so to me, this is a strong list of what should be on the agenda
Mhm.
on on,
Then, once we have
deliverables.
the list of the items that were brought forth to me by all
yeah,
of
task,
you, then we may not have time to put them all as a scorecard item, because we'll be here for 6 hours,
Yeah.
all right? Just, we gotta prioritize which ones we wanna tick and tack on, right? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
And there's some overlap
Scott.
between this
Oh, yeah,
list
yeah.
and what you're putting together.
Anything else?
Derek, thank you very much.
next meeting,
Thank
Much
you all.
appreciated.
Next meeting is October 9th. It's a meeting and workshop beginning at 1 in the afternoon.
at the plant.
It doesn't say so, but I would assume so.
I appreciate you moving over here today, given my multi-bookings.
We also
Well, we
do,
appreciate you
are we
having
also
you
doing a
here.
workshop on the
At the next meeting, yes,
October what?
October 9th.
What's the difference, may I ask,
Different word.
between the meeting and the workshop? That's all.
nothing really.
Jimmy's asked that we have a meeting and then a workshop. In the workshop, we do the detailed stuff that he doesn't wanna cover in meetings.
Oh,
Maybe that's where we talk about our task. Meeting tends to be minutes and contracts.
Yeah, so if we wanna talk about the bylaws changes, potential bylaws changes, stuff like that should happen in the workshop.
right.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn at 2:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.